3D printers basically bring what you have in your mind, which you digitize using CAD software, into physical form.
If you're a dentist and you're looking to go in the digital space, what's a mistake that some of these clinicians make when they jump into the digital realm?
I think when we enter into any kind of like healthcare office, it's no longer just about the healthcare advice and treatment that you receive, but the whole experience. And part of that experience is driven by software, by hardware, by artificial intelligence.
What is something futuristic happening in the printing world right now?
Industry is actually evolving and adapting and creating new products to suit our very specific needs. You'd think kind of like this type of evolution would have taken many, many, many years, but as I said, the chairside market has really only picked up from 5 years ago, in my opinion.
3D printing is big now. It's a part of dentistry, and I want to delve into many facets of that today. But to kick things off, what's a misconception about 3D printing in dentistry? Want to make a great first impression? It all starts with a smile. Have you been thinking about improving the appearance of your teeth? Or maybe you've been told you require some extensive dental work. I'm Elias Sara, dental technician, dental prosthetist. The Mouth Off Dental podcast is a space where you can learn about procedures and innovation in aesthetic dentistry from professionals you can trust. With the help of dental experts, I'll talk you through the advancements and what happens when you're in the chair.
It goes back to evidence-based practice.
They're like, oh, that was fine. I didn't really feel much at all.
You and I work together on many of these cases, so we've created quite a streamlined process.
So if you'd like to find out more about the latest in aesthetic dentistry, what causes superficial staining?
Coffee, red wine.
I mean, I know I love my
Yeah,
coffee.
you and I both.
Or the ins and outs of a procedure you've got coming up.
We have 3D scans. We have a really good, clear picture of what we're working with.
Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I can't wait to talk to you on the Mouth Off Dental podcast. Welcome back to the Mouth Off Dental podcast. Today's guest is someone who's helping shape the future of dentistry. Not in theory, but in real-world clinics every single day. He's a digital dentist, a 3D printing consultant, and an educator known for simplifying digital workflows and helping clinicians transition from analog to fully digital practices. Dr. Andrew Ip has worked closely with some of the leading manufacturers, labs, and clinics across Australia, helping dentists improve accuracy, efficiency, and patient experience through modern technology. What makes Andrew stand out is his ability to translate complex digital systems in an approachable, practical, hands-on solutions, whether it's scanners, printers, CAD workflows, or material selection. He's part clinician, part engineer, part problem solver, and one of the most influential voices when it comes to digital dentures, 3D printing, and the next generation of dental technology. Andrew, welcome to the podcast. It's great to finally have you on.
No, it's awesome. Looking forward to today.
I've been waiting actually quite a while. I mean, we both met while we were overseas at the IDS in Cologne, and when we first met, the podcast was still a concept at that time, and I said I would love to have someone like yourself on, and here we are.
It seems like an eternity ago, but yeah, here we are, and it's awesome to be here. And you know, our schedules are so busy these days, and I know my schedule is insane and off the charts, but here we are, and yeah, looking forward to what we're going to talk about today.
3D printing is big now, and it's a part of dentistry, and I want to delve into many facets of that today. But to kick things off, what's a misconception about 3D printing in dentistry?
I think probably the biggest misconception on 3D printing in dentistry today is that it's hard, it's messy, it's really only for technicians. I think the workflows that we have now, the software that we have access to these days is incredible. I mean, we're not even talking that long ago, maybe about 5 years ago, where anyone involved in kind of like 3D printing, in order to convert an intraoral scan to be 3D print ready, we'd be using programs like Mesh Mixer. They crash kind of like half the time after you've kind of like prepared your
that's
intraoral
true.
scan. I remember those days. And it'd take us, a good 2 to 5 minutes per scan to make them 3D print ready. Nowadays, you could just literally with programs like Genera. So I work with a company called Asiga very closely with Asiga.
Sure.
And they've come up with a cloud-based AI-driven basing software for intraoral scans, and so you literally just dump the scans into the website. The website will kind of like categorize your cases, and literally you just walk out the room, do whatever you want, grab a coffee or a drink, and 2 to 3 minutes later you get your intraoral scans based already. So it's incredible. Like very, very few clicks, and almost everything is automated. And
Is this an available software at the moment?
yeah, it's kind of like it's in open beta right now in Australia only.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think if you sign up, if you're if you're Australian and you want to kind of give it a shot, I think when you sign up you get like 100 free credits.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like go for it. So it's one credit is equal to an upper and lower model. So actually it's like 200 bottles.
Well, I've got Asiga printers and nothing else at this stage. I think they're incredible. Australian-based company.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a credit to Australian manufacturers.
Yeah, and I think that's the funny thing that we kind of don't. A lot of people who I talk to don't even realize that they're based in Sydney, in Alexandria. I'm kind of like in their office every couple of months, and it's we should kind of like celebrate the stuff that we actually make.
Yeah, plug them all the way because
absolutely,
I mean, I'll back up any Australian company that can certainly back up quality, and they have been pioneers in the space and are exporting overseas brilliant printers around the world.
That's it. They're kind of like they're almost like the gold standard when it comes to printing in labs worldwide. They have
there's a difference between their printers and an eBay printer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and we'll get into that. All right. So there's printers and printers. If someone walked into a modern dental clinic today, what would shock them the most?
I think if someone, walked into a modern dental practice, I think they'd be really shocked how much software and hardware is actually embedded, not just in CAD/CAM workflows, but in practice management software, in managing our stocks and supplies, in reception, automated messaging and recalls and communication with our patients.
And AI is influencing this space.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's only going to get more and more. And even my shirt, as I said, I told you earlier, like this is all kind of designed in AI. You're using ChatGPT, so it's kind of exciting to be involved in this field. And I think when we enter in to any kind of like healthcare office, it's no longer just about the healthcare advice and treatment that you receive, but the whole experience. And part of that experience is driven by software, by hardware, by artificial intelligence.
It's a bit sci-fi.
It is.
But we're here. It's real and it's here. When you speak to people that don't really understand dental, do they actually believe you when you say you can print teeth?
I get this all the time because in one of my practices, I literally cycle through so many different 3D printers because I get given a lot of units to test out. And so every time every 6 months is like, I've got new decor in the room essentially. And so I do get asked about that. And they're kind of like, oh, I didn't know you can 3D print teeth and stuff like that. And for me, I'm like, oh, you don't just 3D print teeth, actually. There's a lot of things that you can 3D print. And in fact, models, surgical guides, night guard splints. Of course, you got your dentures and your restorations. And, these days, same day or even same appointment 3D printed restorations. That's a kind of like a big topic on itself.
It's funny. The first commercial printer I was reading up cost well over $100,000. Today, some dental printers cost less than an iPhone. So, and, we adopted, and, correct me if I'm wrong, we adopted a lot of our 3D printing technology from aerospace.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that they were pioneers in the space.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, 3D printing as an industry, additive technology, has actually been quite prevalent in other industries far earlier and in a more mature sense than dentistry has kind of embraced it. I'd say only within the past 5, 10 years has 3D printing kicked off. In particular, chairside 3D printing in clinics, that's probably only really kicked off in the past 5 years, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, we adopt it here to our dental practice,
Yeah.
3D printing, but we have a lab. So
Yeah.
when we say chairside, those units that are technically more available to practices that don't have an on-site lab. Yeah. But they are fantastic. I see that they don't take up much real estate.
Low profile,
Yeah.
less sound, and they look like, you can have them in next to a patient.
It doesn't look too messy. They come in these little vials and you like capsule.
Yeah, so like the
Dispensed.
Midas, and of course with Sega, their print pods coming out very, very soon.
Print pods.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I made a coffee pod, but
Yeah,
not a print pod. I want to know a bit about you. I've always been fascinated, and clearly, you definitely make headlines in the 3D printing world. But I want to know what pulled you into digital dentistry. I mean, you're a dentist. You clinically practice. What pulled you into this digital dentistry world?
Actually, it was honestly by happy accident. I entered 3D printing actually as a hobby. Never printed anything dental before. Just printing toys, figurines, bits and bobs around the house. And that's what I was happy doing. Okay. And it's a funny story. And a rep who knew that I had a 3D printer actually asked me to print a couple of models for him. And he asked me, I'll pay you for them. I would have done it for free because I didn't know any better. I'm a terrible business person. and as I said, I was printing stupid Warhammer figurines and toys.
That's awesome.
And then suddenly this guy asked me, can you 3D print a model, like a dental model for me? And I was like, okay. So I did it. And then he actually paid me for it. And then that really kind of got the gears in my mind turning. It's like, I can actually do something useful with this and actually, make some money out of it. And I guess, a couple of weeks later, he came back for more. And but this time he told me, I need the models, within a 24-hour period.
All right.
And I told him, look, you're kind of stretching the friendship now. I'm going to have to charge you a little bit more per model because of that rush turnover. And he said, yeah, just name your price. And so I was like, okay, right. So then I, prepared the models with mesh mixer at that time.
Yeah.
And, I gave the models back to him the next day. And then at that point, I was like, yeah, this is something that I can definitely use in my practice. And then from models, we went to splints, night guards, and then surgical guides. And
right. It fed on itself.
Literally kind of spiraled. And I as I said, I kind of fell into it by happy accident. Never really have. I have been an artist, because apparently a lot of people listen to me or see what I have to contribute on social media, and I've never really kind of seen myself as some sort of celebrity. But here I am today by happy accidents. And look, it's been a wild journey. I have to be frank. And
but there was a moment you realized, wait a sec. This is the future. This is the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you compare, let's say the most basic example is pouring up plaster versus 3D printing a model. Pouring up plaster for many practices is a very labor-intensive process.
Just for those out there that when we talk about pouring up plaster, it's taking an impression and in someone's mouth, let's just say for a mouth guard. Yeah. And then we have to use a stone to pour that and invert it into a model.
Correct. And someone actually has to be physically there to do that. Yeah. Whereas now with modern software, we can take an intraoral scan in about 2 to 5 minutes, and then you can prepare the model, send that off to your 3D printer, and it's a very hands-off process. It's not like you have to kind of watch the 3D printer do its work and magic. No, it's just doing it its own work while you can do
Yeah.
something else, or your staff can do something else.
Absolutely, yeah. Very efficient.
Very efficient.
I mean, what were the struggles, the early on struggles when you were adopting this technology?
Oh God, yeah. So I think anyone who kind of started off on this journey, it really did feel like the Wild West. We were kind of like using consumer level 3D printers to do very high grade dental work, and sometimes it worked. And it would work fantastically up until it didn't.
Yeah.
And then when it didn't, work, then you'd get super stressed. It's like, oh, are my settings right? Did I wash it right? Am I using the right, the right design software parameters and all of that? So
your resistance early on was more hands-on.
yeah, I think it was the fact that we had to work out a lot of these settings per resin ourselves, per printer, and then even the simple stuff, like often some of the manufacturers also didn't really kind of know what they were doing as well. So we know now these days with any ceramic filled resins, when we're printing out denture teeth or when we're printing out specifically kind of like 50% ceramic filled resins, we're not supposed to immerse them in alcohol. You'll kind of like get some degradation of the strength of the material, and you get this frosting appearance.
That's that white.
Correct. Yeah.
Slimy white.
Yeah, and then you have to kind of like sandblast that off or polish it off. So these days we don't want that to happen. So the general rule these days is to actually hand wash or wipe and blow away the excess kind of like a resin, and you won't end up with that type of deterioration of the surface layer. Whereas when we started, we were just putting everything in IPA for like 10 minutes at a time.
Absolutely.
It was just kind of like, as I said, even the manufacturers didn't really kind of like, oh, just do it that way because everyone else is doing it that way.
I think they've got specific cleaners.
That's it. That's how this, this industry has evolved nowadays. Now we now have, products which are non-IPA based, but you can wash your models.
Still a solvent.
Some sort of solvent. It's not as volatile. It doesn't have that strong smell and odor to IPA that IPA has. So our industry is actually evolving and adapting and creating new products to suit our very specific needs. And you'd think kind of like this type of evolution would have taken many, many, many years. But as I said, the chairside market has really only picked up from 5 years ago, in my opinion.
And now it's at warp speed.
And it's warp speed. When I first printed my first crown, okay, there was Ceramco Crown Tech on my Asiga Max. It took me about 35 to 45 minutes for one crown, okay? These days, we're printing that same crown using the Asiga's print pods, or you can use Sprint Midas or whatever you want to use in about 6 to 8 minutes. Within 5 years. Within 5 years. Yeah.
That is unreal.
Which is, when you really put those two comparisons in, together, it's kind of wild. Like we have, accelerated the way that we process these materials in such a, crazy way. It's just things have improved so fast. Yeah.
Tell us about the 3D printing material that does zirconia.
Okay. I actually got a little bit of a surprise for you. I actually got some samples.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can keep these, all right? So this is 3D printed zirconia, all right? That is 100% zirconia.
You're kidding.
Yeah, okay. So there's some bad news, okay? The company that created this printer and this material actually went bust, right? But
how on earth does that happen to such... This is an incredible product. It's
incredible. Look, when it works, it's very incredible. But right now, 3D printing 100% zirconia is actually quite labor intensive. It's very messy. It's not even a resin. It's a slurry. It's like mud. It's thicker than honey. So it gets all over the place. It's very hard to clean up. And when you put them in the furnace, you can't sinter them fast at all right? You're sintering them at a very, very incremental and slow speed. So it may make a little bit more sense for your veneers, for single unit crowns, where your thickness is less than 2 millimeters, and then your total kind of debinding and sintering time will be roughly around 18 hours. Oh, no, I would say 10 to 18 hours. But for larger things like 3-unit bridges, all in X, you're looking about kind of like 4 or 5 days in the furnace.
Oh, wow. Yeah, whereas I can do something with 10 hours.
Yeah, like our milling, capability, that's a very mature market right now. So you can do some, but You can absolutely 3D print 100% ceramics. That is one. Okay, you can, as I said, you can keep that. That's a
That's
souvenir.
unreal, man.
Yep, that's yours. I have plenty more.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, and
Is someone going to revive this technology?
there are a couple of companies already working on it. All right, and I think it's definitely something that will be worked on in the background. As I said, like we'll probably get there one day. As for how soon we get there is anyone's guess. But you know, the beautiful thing about 3D printing versus, let's say, milling is that with traditional milling, you have, even with a 5-axis mill, you have certain limitations in terms of the anatomy, right? In terms of how small your burr or your tool size is. And even with, you know, with certain mills, they can't mill, let's say, angulated screw channels. Very hard. You need...
Very, very difficult.
Very difficult. Well, you have to think there's some sort of undercut area.
Yeah.
And how do you mill that? Whereas with 3D printing, not an issue, really. Okay, you just basically put it in the printer, you know, support it, slice it, and away you go. So certain really, you know, certain anatomies can be really depicted fantastically with 3D printing,
unreal,
and you can see the anatomy on that.
I just got to have a look at this again.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost feels more dense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying to a CAD to a block, a milled zirconia block, it's got weight to it.
It does have weight to it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing with, you know, 3D printed zirconias or ceramics is that they come in one color. All right. They're not very pretty right now. So, and they're not very translucent. They're basically essentially just 3Y zirconia. And they have, you know, small amounts of 4 or 5Y, but generally at this stage, they're still not that, the aesthetics is not that there, you know. Whereas with our milled ceramics, you can get multi-layer zirconias. Even straight off the bat, after sintering, they look beautiful.
But to see that, I mean, I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Now you've thrown it at me. This is this is going to have me up all weekend.
So when I
amazing.
first printed one of my first unit, I was amazed that, oh man, that's like some sci-fi stuff like, in dentistry. Like
that is gold.
Yeah, like for anyone with a technical background in dentistry, that's really wild.
Now, just to take just a step back, for anyone, for someone who's never seen a 3D printer or any products in dentistry, what does a 3D dental printer actually do? People have this concept about printing in their mind, but if you can break it down, what's a 3D printer actually doing?
Actually, that's the beautiful thing about 3D printing in general, but also another thing about people who just aren't so educated on the entire process. A lot of people who come to my workshops, they think, oh, I'm going to, you know, buy this 3D printer, I'm going to start printing models, I'm going to start printing night guards. It doesn't work like that. 3D printers basically bring what you have in your mind, which you digitize using CAD software, into physical form. All right. The 3D printer is literally just one step of the entire process. We're basically converting something digital, a digital plan or blueprint, into something that we can touch, something tangible. So that's what I would say when, you know, I do get this a lot. People come to my workshops and they realize, oh, shoot, like I didn't know we had to actually start designing stuff ourselves, or we have to at least send, you know, our scans off for someone to design for us. Because they kind of think, oh, I'm going to get this printer and it's going to do everything for me. Not quite.
Not really,
No, we're not there yet.
Well, I did see something over at the IDS in Kelowna. It was one of those massive printers, but it had, it was able to produce a denture in multicolored.
Oh, yeah, some of these like Stratuses or Polyjet printers.
Polyjet.
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic. Like you could see, I think Stratuses and what was the other company, I forgot, but they had like full like skin and pigments and everything multicolored and almost like very, very lifelike. I think with those types of printers, the materials are just not strong enough. Of course, that will get better with time, but the reason why probably their industry hasn't really picked up so much in dental quite yet is because it's quite expensive to own one of those printers. Yeah, we're talking a lot
Yeah, a few $100,000 for sure.
Yeah, for the cheapest ones. Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's assuming that you can even own it. Sometimes you can only rent it, or you pay like some sort of annual subscription per year. So, of course, yeah, it will get better as with all things, but for now they look good. But I would say they're not the strongest materials out there in the market.
If 3D printing is, from what I'm getting, very accurate, but not necessarily strong in many cases.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So it's improving on its strength, and that's why we're getting those new materials with fillers in them.
Yeah, yeah. So, we're basically getting materials like Sprint Ray's developing 50, 60, 70% ceramic filled resins, which they're generally printed on their particular printer, the Midas, which, that uses very specific technology, DPS, so digital pressed stereolithography, where it essentially uses pressure to squeeze resin from one chamber to another. So some of these resins, because they're so highly filled, they're very, very thick. All right, and you can only heat them so much to thin them out. So in order to counterbalance that, they use actually pressure to squeeze resin from one chamber to another.
Can we print carbon fiber yet? Do you know about?
We can print carbon fiber infused materials, and you don't necessarily even need to have a resin 3D printer. You can print that with filaments. So filament FDM fused deposition. A lot of materials are actually carbon fiber reinforced, PLAs, PETGs.
Can you imagine some dentures that would have carbon fiber?
I think that'd be really, really nice.
That'd be unbreakable denture.
Yeah. I think that would be really, really nice. Or
Formula
some
One
sort of
denture.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how fast it'd go.
Why do printed appliances feel so comfortable?
I think because of the fit. From at least my experience, when we print, especially with the new modern dental 3D printers, they print so accurately these days.
And I mean, from my experience, being a denturist, it can print the undercuts, let's just say for a full upper denture, and it can take on those favorable undercuts, whereas a milling machine may struggle to machine out that favorable undercut. So you can lose that in some of the milling products.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you can achieve it out of the 3D printing,
Absolutely.
which gives you an excellent result.
Yeah, you generally do get fantastic fits from your dentures, your printed restorations with 3D printing compared to some of the mills out there in the market.
I've used several products, but at the moment we're using a particular resin called Lucitone.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating that when we put all the strengthener, the cross, we splint it with these little bars down the body of the denture. But then when we cure it, at one time I did a test cure and I pulled it out halfway through curing and it was like rubber.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how it can go through that elasticity phase, but yet cure very accurately. I thought it would lose its accuracy by going through that phase.
No, and actually that's a good thing that you've mentioned, because I assume you're curing in the Dentsply Zirconia curing unit, which you're supposed to. Lucitone specifically needs to be cured in that particular curing unit. And so when it comes to 3D printing in healthcare and specifically dental, we actually, a lot of the attention, or probably most of the attention, is actually spent on the 3D printers. Actually, the real big star of the show is actually your 3D printing curing unit, because that's actually going to get your product to end up with the physical properties that you want. And manufacturers spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money validating these cycles on these curing units, so that that by the time you cure it properly, you're going to get
a predictable
and consistent result. Yeah.
Which printed items, in your experience, impress patients the most?
That's fun. I have a printed Labubu in my reception desk, and
not a Labubu.
Yeah, and that probably gets the most comments out of everything that I put on my tables and everything like that. Yeah, it's funny, when I also run workshops, everyone takes the printed Labubus, the printed capybaras, the printed small little toys and figurines. No one takes the study models.
What?
No one takes the splints or anything like that. It's a funny thing, but yeah, it's all those weird and wonderful things. So yeah, I do actually have a giant oversized printed Labubu at reception, and people love it. Yeah, and I get comments on it all the time.
Is it true that some printers print in layers thinner than a human hair?
You know what? Yeah, it is. It is possible. Like it's like depending on whether they've actually created settings for them. I know for Sega and some of the resins that are validated for Sega, you can print at not 0.1 millimeters, 0.01 millimeters. Like it's so thin. Whether or not it really makes a difference or not clinically, probably not. But it's bragging rights, I guess.
But dental materials are tested using chewing robots to simulate thousands of bites.
No, they don't.
That is
chew,
when I was
they
looking at
slide,
that. That's unreal.
Yeah.
Digital dentures are exploding. What's driving this shift with digital dentures? So in the past, we manually would set up dentures, and that has been the way it's been for 100 years. In the last 5 years, we've had an explosion of clinicians taking up the digital space for denture specific.
The digital denture sphere is actually wild right now. We used to have very few flexible denture materials, up until
Flexible.
this year, where we've got D-Tex coming up with one, PacDent's coming up with one, SprintRay just released their one in the States. So within the space of 1 year, we've had 3 products launch into the global market in the States. And I think Sega maybe potentially developing one too. So I think it's definitely an area of dentistry to keep an eye on. And there's reasons why this field kind of like has really exploded. Number one, it's actually damn cheap to make a digital denture. All right. So, we're in Australia. Overall, we're quite an affluent country. But in other countries in the world, they're not so lucky as us. And, we cannot simply just say to a patient, have a couple of implants. And an implant-supported bridge. It just doesn't work that way. So dentures, I think, still remain a very valid and viable part of dentistry and a way to replace teeth in a very cost-effective manner. And with digital dentures, you can remake them, especially with 3D printing. You can print 2 at the same time, right? As long as it fits, in your print bed, you can print 2 bases at the same time, 2 sets of teeth at the same time. So replication is very straightforward.
Are they long-lasting?
I think in the past we did have some materials that just didn't. They kind of missed the mark in terms of the longevity, a bit overpromised in terms of, what they could achieve long term. That being said, I think Lucitane is actually one of the ones that are actually fantastic. Still kind of like the gold standard when it comes to solid, non-flexible denture base, printed denture base. But, we now have other competitors in the market. SprintRay has their own spin on their Apex denture base, and then as PacDent has their own denture base material, and everyone's kind of like trying to come up with the next best thing. So I think, it did have a bad rap, but I think over the next couple of years, you're going to really see printed dentures really take off because it's very easy to make, it's very cost effective. Very cost effective.
Can you walk us through from a scan? Design and print denture workflow? What would be your typical process?
Actually, the easiest thing to do, the easiest situation is like a partial, right?
Sure.
So you'd take your intraoral scan, and of course your shade selection, all of that, and then it's up to you whether, as a clinician like myself, do I do the design myself, or do I send that off to someone else to design? And if you do the design yourself, you can use 3Shape, you can use Exocad, other options out there in the market. Blender's fantastic Australian product. Once again, it's a bit hard to use for the average clinician, but oh my god, is it capable? Oh, I think in some aspects it's even more capable than Exocad and 3Shape. Then you can either do it yourself, or you can send that off to your designer to do that for you, and then they'll send you back the STL files to print, which you'll usually print your denture base first, or denture teeth, either or. You wouldn't kind of print them both at the same time unless you're lucky enough to have a polyjet printer. But if we're just talking about resin 3D printing, Yeah, then you put your denture base first, then your denture teeth, and then you kind of like lute them together, do a kind of like a tack cure, and then run the whole thing in your dental curing unit. And then after all of that, you can characterize or polish.
Polish it up.
Yeah, polish it up. Yeah.
When you print, all your supports, do they come off quite easy? Are they just, I know that some recommend quite large supports, but are yours to that point where you can almost peel them
like
all
Velcro.
away?
Yeah. The dental industry actually, and once again, it's another example where manufacturers and software developers have realized, we got to improve our workflows and our quality of life capabilities to suit our very specific needs. So a lot of times these days, it's very easy to remove the supports prior to final cure.
These were done over. I went over to the Vita.
Oh right, yeah.
To the Vita company when I was over at the IDS. Now these are the prefabricated teeth.
Yeah.
But they were placed in the printed base, which hadn't been released at the time, but is released now. So I'm looking forward to giving that a go because it's only just been released. I think that had to get TGA approved. Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, now if, some patients are in nursing homes or they're in remote rural towns, if they lose their denture and they've had it made by someone who is in the digital space, they can literally reprint one overnight. Post it
over. And that's actually another good thing about digital denture workflow. You're actually cutting a lot of the appointments down, especially for kind of like if you instead of the traditional way of doing dentures where you take your primaries first, get special trays, get some wax rooms done, take your MMR and all of that. That can actually be streamlined quite a lot these days with photography, intraoral scanners that can handle edentulous regions, and of course our software has definitely been more accessible overall these days. Like programs like Exocad and 3Shape, in particular Exocad, in the past we'd think, that's just like a technician only thing. Not anymore. I think it's getting easier to use, and as a result, dentists or clinicians are more willing to make the investment and invest in these software options. And
it'll be a standard.
Yeah, I think at some point it will be a standard.
Even if they have a clinician version that is more simplified for your chairside workflow, as opposed to some of the complex milling bars and split file systems.
And that's the thing. Dentistry has to evolve. It always does. You can't stop progress. In my training, there were certain things that we had to do that we still have to learn how to place amalgam restorations. Okay, now, but this year Australia is planning on banning amalgam by 2030 something, or I don't know what date. So we do have to. I don't. For anyone who's kind of like concerned, digital dentistry is kind of like overtaking dentistry as a whole, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just a natural evolution of how we practice dentistry. Just like, the way that we do our shopping these days. Who here has heard about Maya, or what used to be called Grace Brothers, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and nowadays, even in my year in dental school, there would be people who didn't know what yellow pages were or white pages. Yeah. Now, and we just Google everything. Now, young people, they don't even Google. They just go to ChatGPT and search it up.
That's right. Yeah, it's the next search
engine. It's just an evolution of the way our society, does its own thing, right? Uber Eats or the rideshare, that's really more of a service. It's actually clever software, but disguised as a service, right? So everything with Uber is based on the app. It's actually software. You're actually buying into the software. You're not actually calling for a cab. You're not ordering Macca's off an app, right? You're actually looking for a service through their software. It's a software company, but it's disguised as a service app.
That's where we're heading.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's definitely
And
where we're heading.
that's just naturally how everything is heading towards. I was in San Fran, earlier this year, and I took a driverless taxi over there. It was awesome. It was wicked. I think it was even better. It was a better ride than kind of like the normal, cabs I've ridden on. Number one, you don't need to make conversation with anyone. Right? You just look at the steering wheel, just move and it's actually very, very smart. You can see people kind of like walk across the road, and it will detect that there's some sort of obstacle in the road. It will slow down. It's very, 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 very smart, and I think it's such a fantastic thing for the elderly who can't drive themselves anymore. They can call one of these and take them, across San Fran, wherever they want to go.
But dentistry itself has had its challenges.
Absolutely.
Probably has its. I think people become creatures of habit. They get in their ways, and adopting new technology can sometimes be daunting.
Yeah.
But no more, especially when you're holding your courses. I wanted to show you this. This is a 3D laser sintered. And I get my chromes manufactured through this company, a bit of a plug for ProsLab. It's an Australian-based company. If you're looking for a top lab, his name's Damien. And he produced me this frame. Yeah. And it's insane.
Yeah, and I've done a few of these 3D printed partial dentures before as well. Insane fit. You should try 3D printed titanium framework next time. It's pretty baller. But
really?
They are so light. They are so light.
I want to know.
It's almost like, I hope I'm not going to break it by holding it.
But is the clasps still have that tolerance where you can tighten or activate or deactivate the clasping?
It's for the limited number of cases that I've done, it seems to be okay.
That's unreal.
Yeah, and it is unreal. And I've done, a couple of like 3D printed rapid maxillary expanders. They fit like so nicely.
I think a big problem though with titanium is with chrome we can polish it really easily.
Yes.
With titanium, I think there are some hurdles there to get it that super luster.
You need a dedicated polishing unit. It's not a normal polishing unit. I don't know what it's
dipole.
It's a very specific. And of course, very expensive.
I think it's they run it through this medium with electrons.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So you actually need one of those to polish these. Yeah.
That's unreal. I actually want to try titanium. Yeah. I know how light it is, but yes, you're right. You can freak you out because it's so light.
Yeah. And I have done it for a couple of patients where, like, they're very difficult to please. They don't like the heaviness that chrome can often have, and they just I really wanted to wow them with kind of like one of these 3D printed titanium frameworks.
That is unreal.
It is unreal. It is really unreal when you hold one in your hand.
So I wonder where printing titanium frameworks will merge into the implant bar space.
I think look, I wouldn't be surprised. I think
that's amazing.
Where they want. I'm sure that there will be a lot of companies trying to do that.
What it takes to machine out an implant bar. Yeah. Chews up those burrs, and it is an extremely expensive process.
Correct, yeah.
Can we actually print a full smile?
Well, how do you defend it? Defend a full smile, yeah, I guess. Look.
So for patients that are listening out there, people think, well, you know what? Can you print me out a full smile? I mean, I have some teeth, I want them restored. Can we restore them with a lithium disilicate that's printed? I know you mentioned zirconia, but that's still a few years away. Yeah. Do we have anything that's a permanent restoration?
That's honestly a really good question. With our 3D printed restorative materials, right now, in terms of mainstream chairside use, we're talking about ceramics, hybrid ceramics, I should say. So kind of like composites. Sure. Right? So anywhere between 50 to 70% ceramic filled. So they're still not really ceramics per se. They are composites. And, composites have a really, good use or long-term use.
Yeah, we do composite restorations every day.
All the time. This is kind of like our bread and butter general dentistry, composites. And we know that, composite restorations last for many years, all right? They may not last as long as, zirconia or lithium disilicate or our typical ceramics, but they still last a long time. I'm sure many of your listeners who have fillings in their mouths, Probably they have a white filling or composite filling that's been there for many, many, many years. So I think right now the status quo is that with 3D printed restorations, if partial coverage, veneers, or long-term provisional restorations, I think printed restorations are fine. I myself, in my personal experience, have no issues doing printed restorations for partial coverage. So inlays, onlays, veneers, not a problem as well for me. But I price them differently as well, so they will definitely be cheaper compared to your traditional milled ceramics.
You know, I had a question to say, what is one thing we can't print yet, but probably will soon? And it's staring at me. I mean,
yeah.
It's the zirconia.
Yeah, we can actually print a lot of things. It's just whether it's feasible and makes financial sense to do it.
What is something futuristic happening in the printing world right now that comes to mind?
I think the crazy stuff that...
Because I know that they're printing biological structures like bone for bone grafting,
yes,
soft tissue.
Scaffolds. So right now, I think there are companies that are printing titanium scaffolds for vertical bone augmentation. So they'll take a CBCT and they'll kind of do a digital wax up of where they want the bone to go. They print a scaffold, a hard titanium scaffold. On surgery day, they'd open everything up, and apply or pack the graft material in, and then apply the scaffold and put a membrane on top. So
That's unreal.
Yeah. So
I recently saw with the Max Fac who came on the show, he brought a subperiostal frame, which I found incredible, and that was 3D printed. That was made out of a titanium based structure. These scaffolds, are they titanium?
Yeah. Titanium. Yeah.
That's unreal. Medical grade titanium.
Medical grade titanium. Yeah. There's a couple of companies in Australia doing that right now. Yeah.
That is fascinating.
Not just for oral surgeons, but for your orthopedic surgeons as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got the hip joints and
correct.
parts of the skull.
So if you're asking me, something it's actually quite hard to surprise me these days. In a way, for me, I've kind of seen a lot of the stuff that seems to kind of like science fiction, like 3D printed zirconia that we have on the table. It's 3D printed titanium and metals, all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And I think where the battle lines will be drawn next actually will be in software, making things so easy for clinicians to use in terms of their design. And
so for clinics that are wanting to start their digital journey, what do you recommend first? A scanner, a printer? What's your advice?
Scanner, 100%. Look, I'm a 3D printing guy. I'm not really a scanner guy, but if you want to get into digital dentistry, the gateway into digital dentistry is an intraoral scanner.
So if you're a dentist and you're looking to go in the digital space, what could be what's a mistake that some of these clinicians make when they jump into the digital realm?
Probably the biggest mistake is people have really, really high aspirations of what they want to do. They want to kind of like scan everything. They want to mill in-house. They want to 3D print everything. And in the end, they kind of like give up because it's just too much to pick up in one go.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think my advice is that, yes, it's great to have great dreams and, move into the digital sphere. Scanner, 100%. Like, you should have made that investment yesterday. 3D printer, mill, that's great. But first of all, focus on what you actually want to do first in your clinic. All right. Some clinics, they only want to print models. Like if it's an ortho clinic, they're only just printing models. So then you don't need anything fancy. All right. You just need a very consistent printer like Formlabs that just prints models day in, day out, nothing else. All right. And does a beautiful, beautiful job of that. And the resins are very affordable for dental resins.
Sure.
So find out what actually you want to do, and not just what you want to do right now, but what you may want to do in the future, and leave some space. Okay. Don't just plan your office or your lab just to accommodate what you want to do right now. Give it some space so that if you want a mill in the future, okay, you can add a wet mill, or you want to mill dry now, okay, I can add a dry mill in the future.
I mean, if you think about where we're heading, what we got now in our dental environment, in 2030, it's going to be standard. You're going to have a printer,
Yeah. Yeah.
or a mill, but
Yeah.
definitely a printer.
Yeah, because and that's the beautiful thing about 3D printing is that overall, compared to milling, the financial investment to get into 3D printing is much less compared to milling.
I mean, chairside printing is not just a hype.
No,
It's
no.
here.
It's here. Like you
It's
cannot
clean, it's
ignore it,
predictable, the quality's there.
Yeah.
I love that whole pod
Yeah.
concept. That's massive.
Yeah, you'll hear about that more next week. Actually,
Is
I can't say too much, but yeah.
Is that your favorite type of digital setup, chairside? Is that where you're?
I think, well, yeah, I'd say so. I think I like the Asiga setup because you don't need to get a separate printer just for restorations. Like for some companies like SprintRay, okay, you got your Pro 2, but then if you want to print your restorations, then you're going to have to invest in a Midas. It's a brand, just a printer just for restorations.
Sure.
Which is like, it's like, now you're spending a lot of money. Whereas with the Sega, you got your ultra gloss trays, your standard VATs, you got your crown kit now, and soon you'll have the adapter for the pods. So it's a very versatile unit. You can just swap your kind of like the adapters and all the VATs.
So will I have an adapter for the Ultra that I've got?
There will be, yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is cool. I got inside. How good's this?
Yeah, you will.
I mean,
And I mean, Sega has always been that way. They've been very, very open, and they're very kind of like good to their existing customers in the sense that, they're not going to force you to buy a new printer just so that you can make use of the new stuff, new accessories. No, they'll make something for your existing hardware. It may take a little bit more time for them to do it, but they'll do it.
no, their customer service is fantastic as well. I mean, what does the average dental appointment look like in 2030?
Well, first of all, in 2030, I reckon all your medical history forms will be filled out on an iPad.
Yep, definitely.
Yep. Either on an iPad or pre-filled via your website. I think it's happening a lot these days anyway in many dental practices.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. I think
Will AI take over the dentist designing some of his restorations?
I think AI is taking parts of the design elements away. So it's doing some of that early grunt work and does it pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get better. We're really only just at we're not even at the peak of AI development in dental.
It's absolutely not.
And it's not going to take, right now when 2025, right? I don't think it's going to take 5 years to really see some substantial improvements in AI in dental CAD.
I mean, AI is already able to diagnose cavities very well.
Cavities, when you put AI through filters, like when we're looking at X-rays. So they use AI a lot in radiology, not just dental radiology, but just radiology in general, in healthcare. We can get some fantastic results. Yeah, radiology and pathology. Yeah, so 2030 is going to be crazy.
I mean, AI, like I said, in cavities, X-rays, researchers are developing smart dentures that track bite forces.
Bite forces, yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, in Australia, they already there's a company that already does that with mouth guards already. So they kind of they can track how many impacts they have. I think over time, because of the whole like head knock thing. I don't know whether you're into NRL or not, but unfortunately, my team. Are the Eels, and they haven't been that good in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing that type of stuff. I think in the AFL, there are a couple of people with mouth guards where they have kind of like sensors in them, or they're kind of trialing that out in the junior leagues, which I think is good, right? At the end of the day, we want to prevent long-term effects from head knocks and concussion, and so this is a good thing. This is a good thing.
So tell me, where can people follow you? How can they look up Andrew and see where he's up to in either the courses he's providing or where he's at in his digital journey? How can people make contact?
The easiest way would be via Facebook or Instagram. So my Facebook is Andrew Ip. When you look it up, it won't be a picture of me. It will be a picture of my cat, Max, wearing one of my 3D printed helmets. So that's the easiest way to contact me. Otherwise, on Instagram, my hashtag or label is AI_ortho_implant. So I post a lot on there as well. Otherwise, I have a website. So that's ai3dprinting.com.au.
Andrew, it has been an incredible conversation. You've given us a look into the future of digital dentistry and the power of 3D printing in a way that's exciting and easy to understand. Thank you very much for coming on. Honestly, this is you've blown me away with so much quality information. I'm sure a lot of the listeners are really going to appreciate this.
No, it's all good.
Thank you so much. And for all you listeners, remember to hit subscribe and share this episode with a colleague or send it to someone who's curious about the future of dentistry. So I will put Andrew's details in the show notes and all the details on our Instagram posts. Thanks for listening.